You're a Ukrainian soldier, chilling on a couch. Maybe you're sipping on a soda or eating a handful of chips. It's a nice moment of relaxation. But then you remember what you're actually doing. You pick up your controls and send an interceptor drone flying. Another of Russia's Shahed-type drones goes down. From your couch, you've just taken down a Russian drone flying hundreds of kilometers away. And you didn't even have to be in Ukraine to do it. Think about that for a second. Ukrainian engineers have found a way to strike Russia from almost anywhere on the planet, and Putin can only watch as his drone swarms get absolutely shattered. This is all according to Ukraine's defense minister, Mykhailo Fedorov. He says Ukraine has developed and deployed a new capability that makes interceptor drones more effective than they've ever been. Here's the thing that changes everything. Drone operators don't need to be on the front line anymore. They can be almost anywhere, hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. In Kyiv, an operator can fly a drone that takes out a Russian Shahed in Donetsk. In Lviv, which sits as far west as a major Ukrainian city gets, that same operator can lounge on a couch while using interceptors to shatter Shaheds in Sumy or Zaporizhia or almost anywhere else in the country. Fedorov even says Ukraine's interceptor drones can be operated from abroad. That opens up completely new ways for people outside Ukraine to join the fight against Russia. Russia thought it had Ukraine's drone operators figured out. And then something changed. That something has been revealed in tests that show just how well Ukraine's interceptor drones operate when piloted from hundreds of kilometers away. The test used a system called HORNET VISION Ctrl, developed by a company called Wild Hornets. It's set to revolutionize the entire battlefield. Based in northern Ukraine, a drone operator controlled interceptors that took down Shahed drones about 500 kilometers away. There's actual footage proving Ukraine's new capabilities. Picture this, a setup that looks exactly like what a laptop gamer would use to play Call of Duty or PUBG. A drone operator sits in front of a computer. On the screen is a crystal clear live feed from a Sting interceptor drone flying around 2,000 kilometers away. Controller in hand, the operator makes tiny tweaks that instantly show up in the drone's movements on screen. This is remote-controlled warfare, and it means that even the average gamer can now play a huge role in Ukraine's defense against Russian drones. Stay with me because this is where it gets even more interesting. This technology took a year to develop. Fedorov revealed it in an April 23 Telegram post where he unveiled this innovation Ukraine created to tackle Russia's Shahed threat. He said it directly. A year ago, through Brave One, Ukraine initiated development and testing of remote control technology for interceptor drones. Today, they have confirmed results, shooting down targets at distances of hundreds and thousands of kilometers. Brave One is doing exactly what it was created to do. Launched by Ukraine in 2023, Brave One is a government-backed hub and defense center that enables Ukraine to support and invest in drone manufacturers and startups across the country. The idea is simple. Innovators register on the platform, and Ukraine invests in technologies most likely to help in its war against Russia. Remote controlling interceptor drones from hundreds of kilometers away seems like a pretty good use for Ukraine's money. And who knows, this tech might end up implanted into Ukrainian FPV drones in the future. That would completely change the face of the Ukraine war. For now, Fedorov focuses on what this means for Ukrainian air defenses. Ukraine is the first in the world to systematically scale remote control of interceptor drones. This is an example of implementing defense innovations and forming a new standard of air defense. And Ukraine's interceptor drone manufacturers have already moved fast on this. More than 10 have started integrating remote-controlled compatibility into their interceptor systems. Just how Ukraine is doing all this is a closely guarded secret, and that's how it should be. Ukraine doesn't want to give Russia clues that could help Putin's forces develop a similar system to stop Ukraine's own long-range strikes. After all, Ukraine is pulling ahead on that front. March marked the first month since Putin's invasion began that Ukraine fired more drones into Russian territory than Russia managed to fire into Ukraine. Maintaining that advantage is going to be massive for the Ukrainian war effort, especially as Ukraine works on making its long-range drones more lethal and accurate. So Ukraine has some pretty impressive new tech. Here's what drones controlled from hundreds or thousands of kilometers away mean for the future of the Ukraine war. We start with the pilots Fedorov mentions in his statement. In the past, pilots were severely limited by their need to stay within range of their drones. For interceptor operators, that meant staying within cities Russia targets with Shaheds. On the front, FPV drone operators couldn't pull too far back or their drones would drop and stop patrolling kill zones. Ukraine used these kill zones to eliminate a record 35,351 Russian soldiers in March 2026. That came after 2 other months that pushed Russia's first quarter casualty rate past 90,000 soldiers. This need for proximity is a problem, and Russia has been trying to exploit it. Back in October, Business Insider reported that Russia ordered drone pilots hunted down. Ukraine's drone pilots are the top threat, the highest value targets for Putin's own operators. Missiles and bombs have also been Russia's weapons of choice as it tries to take out drone operation centers Ukraine created on its territory. Obviously, this is a problem on the front. Russia knows Ukraine's FPV drone operators can't be too far behind the lines. But even in Ukrainian cities where pilots fly interceptors, Russia knows one lucky missile strike could take out an entire operator base, massively weakening a city's defenses. At least all that used to be the case. Now that Ukraine has remote control technology allowing operators to fly drones from massive distances, the entire game has changed. Pilots don't need to gather in drone operation rooms anymore. They can decentralize. They can place themselves wherever they want. The risk of damage to operators is minimized. Even if Russia gets lucky with a missile or drone, it only takes out a single operator. There will be dozens more, all in unobvious locations, contributing to Ukraine's defense using nothing more than a laptop and control pad. If war is a game of resources, Ukraine just found a new way to keep costs low, both human and otherwise, while inflicting maximum damage on Russia. But let's step back for a second. We've mentioned FPV drone operators multiple times. Right now, Ukraine's remote-controlled tech is being used in interceptor drones. That likely won't be the case for long. Fedorov noted that Ukraine's new system is scalable and can be distributed everywhere. The 10 or so companies that adopted it are all interceptor manufacturers right now. That makes sense. Dealing with Russia's aerial threat is Ukraine's priority. But it won't be long before Ukraine's FPV drone manufacturers start integrating this technology into drones used in kill zones on the front. These sorts of innovations have defined Ukraine's defense for over 4 years, and Ukraine is just getting started. There's much more coming. New methods are being developed to enable Ukraine to deploy interceptor drones in ways nobody expected. This is where Ukraine's engineering gets absolutely brilliant. If you're following this so far, you're already ahead of 95% of people watching this story unfold. Drop a thought in the comments about what surprises you most. Ukraine is so focused on improving interceptor drones before anything else for a reason. Interceptor drones are proving immensely effective. The numbers back it up completely. One of the first of this new generation is the P-1 Sun. Created by Skyfall, unveiled at the 2025 Dubai Air Show, it shows what makes interceptors so valuable. Built around a 3D printed airframe, keeping costs down so low, it's cheaper to build than Russia's Shahed type drones. The P-1 Sun was being made in thousands every month by the time it was revealed. Fast forward to today, this interceptor drone shows why it's so valuable to Ukraine. In an April 23 report, Pravda revealed that the P-1 Sun alone intercepted more than 3,000 of Russia's Shahed-type drones since the beginning of 2026. An advisor to Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Hanna Vozdiar, highlighted the cost advantages. Ukrainian manufacturers created interceptor drones with an average cost of up to $3,000, allowing defense forces to intercept up to 90% of Russian Shahed-type drones. Keep that percentage in mind. It matters in a minute. Vozdiar also revealed that 4 of the 5 most effective interceptor drones Ukraine is using, including the P-1 Sun, the Sting, the Merops, and the Bliskavka, were created by private Ukrainian companies. Only one of the 5 comes from Ukraine's joint development work with the UK. All 5 are devastating Russia's attempts to use drones to gain an advantage. Taking a wider view of interceptor effectiveness, Pravda reported on comments Fedorov made about their impact on the war. March alone saw Ukraine's interceptor drones destroy a record 33,000 Russian drones. That number might seem strange at first. We've talked about interceptors being used against Russian Shahed drones, which are the long-range strike drones Russia fires at Ukraine. ABC notes that Russia launched 6,462 long-range drones at Ukraine in March. 33,000 doesn't fit into 6,462. So what gives? It's not just Shahed drones that Ukraine's interceptors take out. Fedorov mentions Zala, Gerbera, Molnia, and Orlan drones, along with unspecified others. Ukraine's interceptors target more than just Shaheds. Loitering drones are on the menu, reconnaissance drones too, perhaps even the FPV and fiber optic drones Russia has been using against Ukraine. If it's a drone with its own warhead, it becomes a target for an interceptor. And when you throw in Ukraine's new capability of operators piloting interceptors from hundreds of kilometers away, Russia faces a problem it can't solve. Its drones are getting destroyed. It can't do anything to stop it. We told you a moment ago that more interceptor innovations are coming through the pipeline. Ukraine has pilots who can fly interceptors from massive distances. Next up, developing technologies that get interceptor drones as close to their targets as possible before launch. On April 21st, Breaking Defense reported on Ukraine pulling off another world first. Ukraine launched interceptor drones from an unmanned surface vehicle. Those drones went on to destroy a Russian Shahed. What we see here is a level of air and sea integration that caught Russia completely off guard. Ukraine's defense ministry released footage of the incident, noting that the 412th Nemesis Brigade pulled off the feat. Think about what this means for Ukrainian air defense. Many of Russia's long-range drones aren't launched from Russia itself. They're launched from illegally occupied territory that Russia holds in Crimea and eastern Ukraine. With this innovation, Ukraine developed the ability to send marine drones into the Black Sea. These can launch interceptors fired from occupied territory to take out Russian Shaheds long before they reach Ukraine's cities and infrastructure deeper inland. If Ukraine expands this strategy, Crimea becomes practically useless as a drone launching point. Every Shahed Russia tries to send from the peninsula could be taken out by interceptors fired from unmanned sea platforms and controlled by operators deep inside Ukraine. This is deep air defense. It's something interceptor drones aren't supposed to be able to do. Then again, there are lots of things Ukraine isn't supposed to do that it has done anyway. Clearing out the Black Sea fleet, which makes the use of marine drones in this manner possible, is one of them. Russia was forced to withdraw its once dreaded fleet from Crimea because Ukraine's drones and missiles destroyed a third of it. With this latest innovation, Ukraine can take advantage of that withdrawal. And if marine drones carrying interceptors happen upon a target worth taking out, they can do it, knowing that interceptor drones lost in the attack only cost a couple $1,000s each. Frankly, it's brilliant from Ukraine. And this isn't the only novel method Ukraine is using to unleash interceptors onto Russia's long-range drones. Just a day after news broke of the marine vessel innovation, Militarny revealed that Ukraine started launching interceptor drones attached to mothership drones in the sky. Specifically, Ukraine uses its Thor-A drone as an airborne carrier for interceptors. With flight endurance up to 90 minutes for the electric version and 240 minutes for the combustion engine variant, Thor-A has a range of up to 400 kilometers. It's a perfect loitering drone. Ukraine used it for reconnaissance in the past, but it also has a pair of underwing hardpoints, almost like a mini fighter jet. Ukraine can pack a couple of interceptors into those hardpoints and fire them like missiles at incoming Shaheds. Again, it's brilliant. Innovative barely seems like an appropriate word for this development. What Ukraine has is one drone that can spend hours in the air hunting incoming Shaheds. Combine that with remote control technology packed into Ukraine's interceptor drones, and you get a secondary weapon that can be launched at will and fly perfectly toward a target that might be even further away than Thor-A's outer range limit. Imagine a pair of operators, each with laptops and controllers, combining forces to use these drones. It's an insane level of ingenuity from Ukraine. It also shows one thing: Russia can never adapt quickly enough to Ukraine's innovations. A few months ago, it was interceptor drones. Today, it's interceptors launched from other drones and controlled by operators who could be on a couch in Kyiv, for all Russia knows. Everything Ukraine is doing now serves one purpose: boosting its air defenses. Even though Ukraine is coming out ahead of Russia on the long-range drone front, Russia is still sending thousands of Shaheds and other drones into Ukraine every month. Ukraine knows that's a huge problem. Shahed swarms confuse air defenses, which allows Russia's far more dangerous ballistic and cruise missiles to break through. To counter this threat, Fedorov says he wants Ukraine to intercept at least 95% of Russia's projectiles. It's an ambitious target, but it's starting to look very achievable. Ukraine, building on the interceptor foundation it created with all these innovations, will help. A technology that started as a short-range solution is being given enough range to deal with Shahed swarms long before they reach the air defenses those swarms are supposed to overwhelm. Ukraine is already edging closer to its 95% target. On April 3rd, Russia launched an attack with 579 projectiles. The Center for European Policy Analysis reports that Ukraine took out 541 of those projectiles. That's an interception rate of almost 94%. A percent or so more, and the target would have been reached. These numbers were recorded for one Russian strike. But if we look at March, Ukraine is edging closer to 95%. Also, on April 3, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense revealed that Ukraine's air defenses took out 90.25% of Russia's drones and 74% of its missiles. Combined total interception rate, 89.9%. Ukraine is already on the right path. Operators controlling interceptor drones from their couches, potentially in other countries, just means they can operate safely while contributing more to Ukraine's interception targets. What we're seeing here is the beginning of something massive, a new version of air defense that meets the multi-layer requirement Fedorov laid out. It does it using drone-based technologies, far cheaper and smarter than the Shahed-type drones Russia is using. Ukraine would have killed to have this technology earlier in the war, but it has it now. Another series of innovations born from the need to stop Putin is upon us. It spells doom for one of Russia's most effective strategies. Today, it's interceptor drones controlled from couches. Tomorrow, it could be FPV and reconnaissance drones, all being flown in kill zones hundreds of kilometers away and being as effective as they've always been, while allowing Ukraine to protect more of its soldiers. If preservation of manpower is Ukraine's priority, then developing an aerial drone army like this is how it keeps its people safe. Not even we saw this coming. We can't help but wonder what other tricks Ukraine's masterminds have brewing that we haven't heard about yet. Ukraine's robot army is real. And it's not just what it's doing in the skies that will have Putin tearing what's left of his hair out. On the ground, Ukraine's robots are pulling off more world firsts. They're taking names and liberating territory. Ukraine's engineering genius is rewriting the rules of modern warfare. Every single day brings a new innovation that Russia simply cannot counter. The couch operators, the marine drones, the airborne carriers, it's all part of a larger strategy that transforms how air defense works. Ukraine isn't just defending anymore. It's innovating faster than Russia can adapt. That's the real story here. That's what changes everything going forward.